everybody. Welcome. I'm Dr. Bridget Young from babyformulaexpert.com. I'm a doctor of perinatal nutrition and the founder of babyformulaexpert.com. I am coming to you tonight to talk about a question that I get all the time from both physicians, clinicians, any kind of practitioner, and parents alike. We're going to be talking about baby lactose intolerance. Or the question I get all the time from parents is it possible my baby is lactose intolerant because I am lactose intolerant, the parent, and I see a lot of the same stuff going on in my little one. So I hear you. Oh, it is so hard to watch those little bellies suffer and so much gas. Oh my Lord. All right, so we're going to dig into it. This is going to be longer than you want to hear straight up yes or no, but I'm going to explain to you why your baby is not lactose intolerant like you are lactose intolerant, but when a baby may or may not benefit from a formula that has a little bit of a lactose reduction. So let's dig in. This is like nerd. I've been really excited for this because I'm going to nerd out on you guys a little bit, but I promise it's going to be actually really helpful. So before we discuss lactose intolerance, tiny bit of science. I will keep it really quick. Lactose, like in breast milk, like in any dairy, any mammalian milk or milk products, is a carbohydrate. It's molecularly a very, very small carbohydrate, and it is digested in your body by the enzyme lactase. This is like a medical school hack tip. Anything that ends in ose in medicine is a carbohydrate, and anything that ends in ase is an enzyme. So it's easy for us to remember. Lactose is digested by lactase. All right. Now, here's how adults become lactose intolerant. The gene that encodes lactase, the enzyme, turns off in adulthood. So all cells in your body have all the genes to express anything. What makes a cell in your intestines different from a cell in your eyeball is which genes are actually turned on and turned off. And so different parts of the body turn on different genes, and then those change over the time. Of course, genes that are on when you're going through puberty are very different from genes that are on when you're lactating versus genes that are on when you're done with that phase. So in adults, the lactase gene turns off. In infants, the lactase gene is on universally. It's one of the things that makes humans mammals, is the ability to drink milk as a baby. That's one of the defining characteristics of mammals, is providing milk for infants. So all infants have this gene and they turn it on. In adults, the gene is turned off. Here's why some adults can drink lactose. I don't know how many thousands of years ago, there was a mutation in the lactase gene so that it didn't turn off in adulthood. Not all adults have this mutation. In classic, like species selection, evolution, this gene, if you have the mutation that allows your lactase gene to stay on, that's really beneficial. Think thousands of years ago when food was hard to come by and you were able to continue drinking milk long into adulthood, all of a sudden you have a better ability to survive. So that mutation was actually selected for specifically in populations that had access to usually cow's milk. So there's this huge difference between geographical areas in the globe and how prevalent this mutation is. I wrote some things down. So for example, roughly 64% of adults in Asia are lactose intolerant. They're actually the OG human. They're, as adults, they turn off the lactase gene. They can't drink dairy or dairy products anymore without having the gas, the bloating, all that mess. In areas of northern, southern, and western Europe, only 28% of adults are lactose intolerant, meaning more than 70% are mutants. Like, you can have a look at me. I'm pretty exclusively from northern Europe, and I know I'm a mutant because love that ice cream and ain't no problem for me. So you have this mutation that allows a large number of adults to continue having lactose because they continue expressing lactase into adulthood. Okay, now that you have that background, you can see that how if you happen to be lactose intolerant, there's no way your baby is the same lactose intolerant that you are. Because again, they're mammals. They're designed to consume milk, lactose-based carbohydrate, as an infant. There's an extremely rare genetic condition that is life-threatening threatening for an infant that because they can't consume lactose. It's so severe. It's one of those things they screen for when your baby's in the hospital. It's incredibly rare. You would know. I don't want you to think about it anymore. So now that you understand the differences, no baby is lactose intolerant like an adult is lactose intolerant. There are certain circumstances where an infant might be having a hard time digesting a lot of lactose because their own lactase is just, it's not quite up to snuff. It's having a little hard time. Here are those circumstances. So these are the reasons that you may see symptoms that you recognize as lactose intolerance in your baby, that they may actually be having a little bit of a lactase problem. One, if your baby was premature, or if they were born even just a little early and they're still like a freshling little thing, like in the first couple weeks, that could be a reason that they're just not making enough lactase yet. Premature babies weren't ready to come out, and lactase really explodes in the baby's intestines right before birth. And when I mean right before birth, like around 40 weeks gestation. So even if your baby was born at 38 weeks, and her dating is so hard, every baby's on their own timeline. There's that like fuzzy gray period where they just might need a little extra time to catch up. If your baby has been ill with a GI bug, specifically any kind of diarrhea or intestinal infection. And that's because, when babies have diarrhea, like they really have diarrhea and they can like literally blow out. I shouldn't laugh. Some of their lactase. I mean, I know you guys have all experienced those blowouts. You're like, oh my gosh, did this come from your mouth all the way through? The force is incredible. So when they have extreme diarrhea like that, they can actually temporarily lose some of their lactase enzyme because it's literally the diarrhea is coming through with such force. It kind of like brushes some lactase right off. So they will recover, they will bounce back, but temporarily they might show symptoms during recovery of lactose intolerance like you recognize because they are having a little bit of a hard time with their lactase enzyme. So that would be an acute illness or a short term if they got, like a bug that made them sick for a short amount of time. I have often, this is a personal observation, seen that babies who have had intestinal issues, so, intestinal inflammation, definitely if they've had any kind of intestinal diagnosis, they can have a hard time with their lactase enzyme because they've been sick, because there might be some inflammation there. Here's another one that is very common, but nobody talks about. If your baby has previously been on a very lactose reduced or a lactose free formula, like a hypoallergenic formula or a soy formula or any severe lactose reduction, if they've been on that for a long time, I would say at least a month, and they're exclusively on that formula, their body might start making less lactase. This is because bodies are badass. They're not going to waste that precious energy the baby needs to grow making an enzyme that they don't need. So when we remove lactose from the baby's diet, the body will over time naturally start making less. It's like I said, that's pretty awesome. But if they've ramped down how much lactase they're making and then you throw a full bottle, like you try to do a cold turkey switch to 100% lactose, y'all are going to have some diarrhea. Like it's not going to go well. I have a similar experience where I was a pescatarian for a while, and then I decided to just cold turkey, I don't know, more like cold beef, had a whole burger. Oh, it did not go well. My body had stopped making the enzymes I needed to digest beef, and then throwing a quarter pound of beef at it was a very poor choice. It's kind of a similar thing. So here's a scenario that I see sometimes that is very unfortunate. Baby's been on a hypoallergenic formula, which is lactose free. The doctor thinks like, okay, baby's 6 months old. Let's try. They probably have outgrown their issues. Let's try an intact protein formula and see how they do. Great idea. So family tries a full bottle of an intact protein formula, and the protein is totally different from the carbohydrate, but the carbohydrate's lactose. They give it to the baby, diarrhea, and then everybody thinks, oh my gosh, they still have an allergy, but there's really no way to know. Was it the protein, or was it because they had stopped making enough lactase and we just gave them a bunch of lactose? So switching or trying things slowly is going to be key in that scenario. This is one of the reasons I always suggest transitioning formula slowly, especially if you're moving up in the amount of lactose. The body's so amazing, it will ramp down lactase if it doesn't need to make it, and it will ramp it right back up if it does. It's nice to send the body that little bit of signal to the baby's intestines being like, hey, we got a load coming. Let's get your machinery up and running. And they totally will. So the last thing I wanted to say was, what symptoms might you be observing in your baby that would indicate that they're having a hard time with lactose? To review, situations we know will affect the lactase expression, which will affect ability to digest lactose, are, of course, premature. If the baby is just recovering from any kind of intestinal illness, or if they have had chronic intestinal issues, so that there might be some inflammation in the intestines, or if they have been previously on a lactose-free or very lactose-reduced formula, they're totally going to benefit from a lower lactose formula, or at least a very slow transition moving to a higher lactose formula. Symptoms that indicate a baby might benefit from less lactose, this is really hard. I'm just saying, I'm giving you some suggestions because this is what you want. We all want our babies to be comfortable. But this takes a little bit of experimentation. So the symptoms are almost similar to what you would experience as an adult with lactose intolerance. You know this. So definitely gas and bloating, diarrhea. So, and this is very hard because babies have very loose stool and blowouts are totally normal. All babies have gas. Breastfed babies, formula-fed babies, all newborn babies have gas. So I want to be very clear that just because your baby has gas does not mean they need a lactose reduction. If you have all those three things together and you think it's really affecting their precious little quality of life, which affects the family's quality of life, discuss it with your doctor. Think about what formula you've been on. If you're having breast milk in the diet, how much is breast milk, how much is formula, etc. And then you can kind of consider if moving how much lactose you're providing might be able to provide some comfort. But remember, all human infants have the ability to digest lactose. Again, that's kind of one of the big things that makes us mammals. So the reasons you may be lactose intolerant are completely separate from any reason your baby might be experiencing problems with lactose. But it's that same lactase enzyme that's doing the work, and that can kind of help you glean some insights. I really hope that is helpful. I'm looking to make sure I didn't miss any notes. Yeah. If this is speaking to you, so this is triggering some thoughts about ways that you might be able to help your baby get comfortable, girl, get yourself on over to my course. This is like a tiny taste of the stuff I go over, and it's much more well organized and well spoken over there because I'm not speaking off the cuff. We go into all the carbohydrate sources, protein and fat, and you leave with all the resources and cheat sheets that are available nowhere else on the entire internet to be able to choose the perfect formula that matches your unique baby's medical history, symptoms, and your feeding goals. It's amazing. The feedback has been incredible, and I'm just so proud of it because I know how helpful it is for families. So go over to babyformulaexpert.com and you'll see a link to find out all the information. Thank you so very much. I love doing these. I don't do them very often because I got kids of my own that are just always needing to be fed. If you have a question you'd like me to tackle in a future happy hour, send a comment or an email or anything, and I'll get to it. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. Mwah! Bye.